You're live.
Brother, we're live.
Oh, man.
Brother. See you live in action.
Hi, everyone. This is the Deep Six Wrestling podcast, whatever else we are, apparently now live on YouTube. We just got finished doing or viewing Impact Slammiversary. We're going to talk about it. If anybody joins, we'll answer questions.
Yeah, we'll be able to see comments. We can, react to your comments, and it'll be in the, podcast that we do.
I think it'll show up on the side over there.
Yeah.
This is our first time going live since 2019, I think.
Yeah, and nobody joined me for that live
No,
stream.
except us.
Well, except you guys, yeah.
Why would they?
Nobody wanted to watch me struggle to watch Legends of Wrestling.
Right. So, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But anyway, for those who haven't seen our beautiful faces in quite some time, I'm Ryan.
I'm Angelo.
I'm Pat. I'm currently the Deep Six Wrestling champ, by the way.
Yeah. For those who follow our predictions, we didn't put the title in line for the show because of the amount of shows that are somewhat bigger than Slammiversary coming up in the next few weeks. But we did have a reward for whoever wins. They get to get a bonus point for either Money in the Bank or Forbidden Door predictions, whichever one they want. Pat won that.
Correct.
And so he's the champ, and he has a bonus point to use, which could be really helpful.
Yeah, that is true. I haven't watched Impact since the Sportster told me to stop writing reviews for the show because it wasn't doing good numbers. But I am currently working on my review of Slammiversary because they still want me to do the pay-per-views. I wasn't expecting to win our predictions for this, but I did. So joke's on you, suckers.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, we thought the Good Brothers were not going to be there anymore, and then all of a sudden they're there and they're sharing beers in the ring with America's Most Wanted. So we didn't expect everything tonight. We can watch as much of the product as we want, and we're still surprised a lot of the times.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started off with the countdown to Slammiversary, their pre-show. But before that, as we talked about on the podcast yesterday, Impact was putting up video streams or video clips of Sami Callihan and Moose in their locked rooms for their Monsters Ball, I guess, prep, where we learned that Moose is apparently afraid of the dark, and Sami was very excited by being in darkness for 24 hours. And so they gave us an update when they went in. At the 12-hour mark, at the 14-hour mark, the 18-hour mark, and then right before they came out.
I'm really upset it wasn't just like a straight live stream.
It should have been.
There was no way they were in those rooms longer than 20 minutes.
You're telling me that Moose selling that he couldn't see and his eyes weren't adjusted to the light wasn't real?
No.
That's what you're telling me?
No, absolutely not.
I just don't get why Moose was shirtless.
Because he was showing off the gun show.
But to who? He's by himself.
To the people watching at home.
To the ghosts.
Yeah. For the non-existent live stream that was going on.
Hell yeah.
So countdown to the Slammiversary. We did not get to see Rich Swan versus Brian Myers because the pre-show for YouTube didn't start.
It didn't start
while we were watching, which was that entire match. So
great.
Will
it be there ever in the Nether on Impact's
maybe
YouTube? Hopefully.
Yeah.
I was excited to see that.
Yeah, I was too. We swapped over to the fight stream, and Rich Swan had just gotten the 3 count for the win, so Rich Swan won. Don't know anything else about it because didn't get to watch it. So Impact, get your YouTube shit together.
I mean, we just don't know now what the digital media title will be with the guy that they Cardona's beef was. He doesn't even have social media.
Yeah, he doesn't have a
So.
Facebook or a Twitter or maybe an Instagram either. Like, how's this man going to promote this title?
Yeah, but Cardona has had his name, even though he wasn't in the match, he's hurt, but like he has had his name in the title picture for this digital media thing for a few months now.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time now that someone else will get a chance. Besides, Rich Swan holds the title, so we'll see who else steps in next. If it becomes another intergender match, maybe, because it's like, how it started.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see if this is where they bring back the random 2-minute matches that they were doing when Jordynne was champ, where they'd just be like, okay, Matt Raywalt versus Kimberly or John Schuyler.
Right,
there you
right.
Go. Have a 2-minute match and say it's for the digital media division
to determine who the contenders are. Right?
Yeah,
that's what they would do. So maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know how often Rich Swan works indie dates, so it's not
I feel like he does enough.
Yeah, because it's not like Cardona, who's on every major indie
king of indie wrestling right now.
Yeah,
before his injury, but he was everywhere holding. He had 6 different belts, right?
Yeah. He was everywhere. He was in Creative Pro,
belts.
NWA, Wrestle Revolver, GCW.
Yeah, he was literally everywhere. But you mentioned the name before, John Schuyler. Now, I didn't get to see it with you guys, but did he appear in the Reverse Battle Royale?
He did not.
Wow. So who did appear in this beautiful match?
So they clear the ring after Rich and them, and they give us a rundown of Reverse Battle Royals in the past. And we come back, and there's just some random generic music playing. And we've got Johnny Swinger getting wheeled out by Zicky Dice. We've got some random bald man behind them who we're very confused about. Then we see Action Mike Jackson, the 72-year-old wrestler. We had Bhupinder Gujar.
Good. But so no one got entrances. It was just kind of
No. One person got an entrance. We'll talk about that in a second.
Sure.
But we had Bhupinder, we had Shira.
So how are they coming out? They're just literally
all in a line. All together
ridiculous.
in a line. Shira, Raj, Singh, Sharkboy. Another man with long hair who apparently was a former NWA tag team champion. I totally forget his name because it was super generic.
That's ridiculous.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if Zicky was actually in the match or if he just was at ringside because he wheeled Johnny Swinger out.
I think Zicky was in it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
he
sure.
might have been. And then the lights go red, and they pan over to the entrance ramp, and we've got the Sinister Minister himself, Father James Mitchell's entrance and Titantron, and out comes who he's managing for this match, Slash, not the guitarist from Guns N' Roses.
Wow. I hope not.
But one of the members of the Church of the New Sin or something like that. Some old stable.
Something under Father James Mitchell's.
From the original TNA that I learned started in OVW because I looked it up and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Because I've never heard of Slash other than Guns N' Roses. So he was part of the Disciples of the New Church, my bad.
Okay.
Which, again, started in OVW with 3 members. And probably wouldn't think of this, but the 3 people were...
No.
So it was this Slash guy who also wrestles as Wolfie D. So don't know if anybody knows him more for that.
No.
But Bane, who was Tyson Tomko.
Oh, that's a hot name.
And Leviathan, which was played by Dave Batista.
Yeah. No, I was familiar with that.
Dave Bautista then moved up to
How
the main
all
roster.
this talk? How could I forget about Tomko?
Yeah,
He didn't show up tonight.
no Tyson Tomko.
No
Yeah,
Tyson Tomko.
when Dave Bautista moved out of OVW and moved to SmackDown, the other two were left without a job in OVW, and they went to Impact TNA. Then they feuded with Raven and the Gathering.
Okay, so they feuded with Raven.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
They tagged with Shane Douglas and Sin. Whoever Sin is.
Six.
Sin.
No.
Sin Bodhi.
Oh,
AKA Kazarni.
Oh my God, we got a
Kazarni's
Kazarni
been everywhere. Yeah.
Cool.
We do, every so often. We sneak him in.
They apparently feuded in
So
2013
this was-
with LAX and Hernandez.
Okay, so he's been around.
Yeah.
So this was the surprise.
Yes.
From the
This
reverse
was the big
battle
surprise.
royal. That's good.
Impact wasn't lying when they said that this is one of the more infamous things in its history.
Infamous meaning bad.
This was horrendous. I understand they just wanted this as like a jokey thing, but
Holy hell!
Oh, it was bad. Oh, Macklin and Chris Bay were also in this.
Really?
Yeah.
I got sucked into this.
And they just brawled with each other, and then Chris Bay eliminated them both.
Okay, but it was a good elimination.
Yes.
Hit the art of finesse on the apron.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But it took them both out. So
Yeah, but I mean, you're wrestling for nothing here.
Yes.
So there was no implications of anything like.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Johnny Swinger basically immediately got himself in the ring. So for those who don't know what the rules of the reverse battle royal is, 16 people start on the outside. 8 people. Once 8 people and get into the ring, that becomes a normal battle royal. And then once you're down to the final 2, it becomes a one-on-one match. So Swinger immediately basically slides on in. He's in. Doesn't have to do much for the rest of the time.
Yeah, he's just waiting.
Yeah. The big moments of this were basically the Chris Bay and Macklin stuff. And then also we had Mahabali Shera getting old schooled by Action Mike Jackson, who was walking the barricade between the fans and the ring. And he walked 2.5 of the barricades before Shera was just like, you know what? No. And just gets out of the grip and slides in, and he's the final person of the 8. We also had Mike Jackson having to stop because this one fan had 3 former TNA belts just draped over, and he didn't want to walk.
They
on
want
them.
to jump over all.
So
of
he
them.
was like, "Can you move them?" And the guy slowly moved each one.
While like Shera is just waiting.
Yeah, while he's just struggling to move his wrist. Yeah.
Lovely.
Joey said that this was some of the best selling he'd seen.
The most real wrestling you'll ever get.
Because that's what your guy. You can clearly get your
An arm
wrist
hold
out.
by like a 75-year-old man on this giant wrestler known as
Yes.
Shera.
Yep.
So yeah, that
Yep.
makes a lot of sense to me.
The final 2 were Swinger and Sharkboy.
Oh, God.
To which Swinger immediately throws Sharkboy out and celebrates as if he won. To which the ref is like, "No, it's a pinfall. You gotta pin him." So then he goes on out. He rolls him back in. He stretches out. He does his reflexes, rubs his hands together. Looks like he's gonna do something, and then Sharkboy hits a stunner and wins.
That's beautiful.
And Sharkboy,
No one to take the pin for Sharkboy better than Johnny Swinger.
yeah. So
It's
Sharkboy
really-
wins. The only person in our predictions that got that right was Sam,
Unbelievable.
who didn't even predict that Sharkboy was going to be a special entrant in this match.
And
He
he's
says-
playing it smart. So.
Yeah, he said when he won, he said, "I didn't even know Sharkboy was a thing still. I just remember you," pointing to me, sending pictures from the aquarium every summer of Sharkboy because there's a mural in the Adventure Aquarium in Camden, New Jersey, of like sharks and pop culture, and one of the things in it is Sharkboy in TNA wrestling.
Give me a shell, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So every summer, I'd pass it, take a quick picture, send it in the group chat. It's my annual thing.
Nice.
I don't work there anymore, so
The damn shame.
but yeah, if it's still there, maybe it's not there.
Sharks everywhere are proud of Sharkboy and what he's done for the shark community.
Yeah.
Sharknado has done jack squat.
Yeah.
It's all about Sharkboy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of which, as Sam just texted us, noting that because we'll get to it, but there was a tie in our predictions challenge here with me, Sam, and Ryan. And had Sam written Sharkboy in as a special entrant for this match,
my goodness.
he would have won.
Instead, he wrote Vince McMahon and Samoa Joe, who he also had Samoa Joe being the mystery partner
He wrote Vince McMahon. I forgot.
Yes.
He did.
And he could have actually won today.
Yes. But
It hurts.
instead, he wrote Vince McMahon and Samoa Joe. That would take us to the main show, which we got a brief little video package of like the history of TNA, some of their moments. They had Ken Shamrock winning the world title for the first time, Gail Kim winning the Knockouts title the first time, highlights of different matches, different people. And then we got into our main show. We had a kickoff with our Ultimate X match between Ace Austin, the champion, Trey Miguel, Speedball Mike Bailey, Alex Zane, Kenny King, and what was supposed to be Jack Evans, but we were told today, right?
Today, right before the show.
Yeah, that Jack Evans could not compete because he was not medically cleared due to a recent injury. He was replaced by Andrew Everett, who, Pat, you know the most about him out of us.
Gotta love Andrew Everett solely because he was part of the Helms dynasty with Trevor Lee, and obviously Gregory Helms or Shane Helms, and they were part of, I want to say, the Ultimate Deletion, or
It was the tag
Total
one.
Nonstop Deletion, whatever the big one was.
Yeah. It was whatever the
Okay.
tag one was, where it was Jeff and Matt.
But then the Decay were in it as well. There was a bunch
Yeah.
of teams in it.
Was
So-
that, and also was that the one where they the Rock and Roll Express?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. So they have Andrew Everett's been around. He was on AEW Rampage earlier this year or sometime last year. I forget who he
okay.
faced,
Okay.
but he is alive.
Yeah.
There's a name.
The last time I've heard his name was when WWE did their Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and their graphic said Andrew the Giant Battle Royal. So he changed his name on Twitter to Andrew the Giant. And
Love that.
he has a singlet that looks like the Andre style singlet.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. This was the perfect way to start off the show because, again, it's one of the most iconic and probably one of the better match types that Impact has created over the years. But also, too, as me and Angelo attest to basically every week, most of the time when Impact starts off the show with the next division match, it's going to tear the house down. It's going to get the crowd hot. And this is exactly what it did. The crowd was hot for this the entire time. There were some fantastic spots in here. One of the biggest ones was right towards the end, where you had a Tower of Power where all five of the competitors were all in the corner, stacked, like wrestling each other. Alex Zane came over, pulled 4 of them down with one power bomb.
Oh, gotta love that.
Trey held on to the pillar that they have holding everything up, and kind of taunted Zane to come get him. Alex Zane came up. They fought for a little bit, and Trey hit a super Canadian destroyer.
You also had Mike Bailey hitting his Ultimo X
Yes.
off the ropes on top. He was hanging up top, and
Yeah.
he came down. It was 2 people. I don't remember who it was.
There's 3. It was
3.
Kenny, Trey, and I believe Andrew Everett.
Yeah, well, he had that as well.
Yeah, he was losing his grip on the ropes that hold up the belt, And so he just readjusted himself and just dropped his on his knees onto the guys. Really cool spot.
Wow.
We also had Andrew Everett. This was right at the end. He climbed up. And
this was death. This is how you
Yeah.
kill a man.
He got to the top and was trying to undo the belt above Ace and Mike Bailey, and they just took him down and threw him off of the top of the X, and he very closely missed the ropes partially, so that he landed safely in the ring. But it could have easily been that he landed square on the ropes and got flung either way. But the refs were right there immediately to check on him. But didn't really matter because it was down to the final two. Ace, Mike Bailey, two guys who have been feuding / being friends for the past few months, basically, since Speedball showed up. Speedball gets Ace off the ropes, and Speedball Mike Bailey is your new X Division champion.
Wow.
Biggest issue, only real issue with this match, I'd say, was commentary as this was happening saying you can only win Ultimate X by grabbing the belt and then making it safely down to the ground and still holding it in your possession. And then immediately Mike Bailey takes the thing off the belt off the ropes and still hanging up there. They ring the bell. They announce him as the winner.
And just got to get it right.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, because we were talking about, last week's Impact episode where Bailey loses to Trey Miguel. And, albeit it was a great match, it was a roll up.
Yeah.
Now, where does that put Trey Miguel in this situation?
I'd assume Trey gets a shot.
He gets first dibs here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd also say that, I'd say Ace would probably get first shot because he'll have his rematch.
Right. That's true.
I guess Trey would be like a follow-up person.
Yeah. Was there a lot of interaction with Alex Zane and Ace Austin?
They took each other out of the match at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they were both up top, and Ace probably had the best shot.
And Alex
came up, and then they basically took each other out of it.
Yeah,
okay.
I forgot to add that part. My bad.
Okay. So you think that's something that, Alex Zane will be back and will kind of linger a little bit on Impact shows?
I believe so, because he's not going to be used in, they kept on referencing him as New Japan's Alex Zane.
It's not really a...
Unless he's signed and, I don't know about it. He does a lot of stuff for New Japan Strong.
Okay.
But that's in America, and it's taped at least a month in advance. So if he does one date there, he can easily be doing stuff.
So if it unfolds more, you see it on New Japan Strong or on Impact?
Impact.
Okay.
Ace did have a new Titantron for the Bullet Club.
Oh.
He's got a new jacket that says Inevitable Club. He's got his new playing card with the Bullet Club logo on it.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Too sweet. Would you say, since Jack Evans was out of the match, what Andrew Everett added in, did it make a difference?
As somebody who isn't really familiar with Andrew Everett,
right.
I don't know.
But you know what Jack Evans brings to the table.
And so I'd say that I think Jack would have added some wilder spots, just more flippy stuff.
Yeah.
Andrew Everett he's not as tall as Alex Zane, but he is pretty beefy for somebody of that size. So he wasn't doing the crazy, insane flips and 450s and all that jazz that you'd expect from somebody like Jack Evans. But he did do some wild spots, and I'm not sure if, Jack Evans would be somebody who would be willing to take a move like Andrew Everett did at the end, getting flung off of the X or off of the title from the top all the way down to the ground. I'm not sure about that. So, at least that was a lasting impression for me. Any insight from you? Because as the guy who watched AEW Dark regularly,
Yeah, I would say Jack Evans would have been a good fit for this match. Do I know if he would have added more than Andrew Everett? I really don't know. I mean, obviously they had planned for Evans to be in this until today before he got injured last night.
That's really what the situation was. He got hurt last night.
He got hurt. Yeah, he got hurt last night. I think it was GCW.
Of course,
he landed on his head that night. So,
geez. So then, to find a guy in 24 hours to work the show, you don't have pick a winner.
I just I don't know if Jack Evans was
Christian.
planning to have a big spot in the match or anything, but Andrew Everett, for what he did, I mean, he had a couple big moments. So he was fine. It wasn't anything that I was like, oh yeah, if Jack Evans was here, it would have been so much better.
Right.
But hopefully Jack Evans gets to heal up and come back and do Ultimate X eventually.
Yeah. As somebody who I enjoyed Jack Evans whenever he was on AEW, the few times that he was on AEW.
I mean, he was in AEW for a while. It's not like he was.
He was an AEW original.
Yeah.
And TH2 were pretty heavily featured.
And
pandemic.
But for the last, I'd say, year of
there wasn't much.
He wasn't as featured
on TV,
at least.
TV products.
But I always thought he was entertaining, and I mean he's been around the block for quite some time.
I enjoyed his 720s when I was first watching TNA. And his first run when he was, or I guess that was his second run when he was trying to fight for a roster spot that Austin Aries ended up winning.
Yeah, and as looking into his history, he was also part of Wrestling Society X.
Yeah.
So if you
a lot
were
of legends out of there.
Yeah. So I mean, he's been all around the world.
And then TV.
Yeah. Only thing he really didn't do. I mean, I'm sure he at one point was on WWE TV. Everybody's been.
Everyone jobs out somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone loses the Ryback at one point.
Yeah. He was on Lucha Underground too, right? Jack.
I want to say yes. I know Angelico was.
Yeah, I know.
Sure Jack Evans.
Okay.
I want to say yes.
Okay. And he's been part of, was it AAA? Okay. I knew he was part of some Mexican promotion that was he was saying the cartels or the cops were trying to extort him for money the last year. So he's been basically everywhere. After this, we got into our Knockouts tag match, correct, Pat?
Yes, we had the Influence defending against Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary.
Yeah. Commentary continued this whole argument about how Taya and Rosemary have had a big history together. They don't get along very well, even though, again, as we pointed out on the podcast this week, the last time Taya was really in Impact, she was getting arrested for shooting Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, that's pretty illegal.
To help Rosemary out and get out of a wedding that she didn't want to be a part of.
That was the whole, that was the end of the Wrestle House saga.
Yeah.
Wrestle House was a beautiful pandemic idea. Got us through some dark COVID times.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And we're grateful for everything that and Tommy Dreamer did for us during those moments.
The fact that that's how we got reintroduced to TNA, to Impact.
Yeah, we literally started watching it right there, and we're like, this is a soap opera. This is a really, really fake soap opera.
But it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, now they're back together. So the very confusing storyline here was Havoc and Rosemary wanted a shot at the Influence's titles. The Influence said that they needed to beat somebody to show that they deserved a shot because they had just both lost to Tasha Steelz. So they're like, you don't really deserve a title shot if you can't beat one champ. How are you going to beat two champs? Valid point.
Yeah.
So Havoc then decided the best idea was to go and challenge Masha Slamovich because she's undefeated. And Havoc got squashed to Masha Slamovich and took the snowplow, her finisher, which was probably not the smoothest.
No, I mean,
on
Havoc is
Yeah.
the largest female wrestler on your roster. And
Yeah.
this was the first non-squash match Masha Slamovich had, like against like an actual rostered member.
Yes.
And it kind of silly.
Yeah.
overall. But yeah, for the purpose of the storyline, it gave, Rosemary still wanted to fight for the tag team titles because there's no other teams in the division.
Yeah.
So she needed to find a partner, and who else made sense besides, trusty old pal of Taya.
Yeah. And then this week on Impact, Taya said that, after we win the tag titles, we can go and find Havoc and we can rescue her, we can save her. And that got Rosemary in agreement. So they challenged for the tag titles. Don't know where Havoc was that needs to be rescued or saved. But Impact announced today that Havoc is doing meet and greets tomorrow, so I think they found her.
Yeah, probably.
So I guess she's back tomorrow for tomorrow's taping.
But
So
I mean, that means we'll see.
yeah,
What that means going forward. Did we even say the results of the match?
no, we didn't. This was a match that existed.
Okay.
It wasn't bad. It was good. I thought it just was not as great as everything around it. And I felt like it kind of just slowed the pace down a lot from what we had just watched. I felt like it was really, at least towards the middle and end of this, it felt really, I guess, predetermined that you could tell that Taya and Rosemary were going to win.
Okay.
Or it was going to be like some silly DQ or something like that. But it just looked like they kept on like getting Rosemary out of the picture, and just the influence were dominating. And then they got Ty out of the picture. They were dominating Rosemary. And then once they got like a hot tag, it was like, okay, well,
you know how that works.
Yeah. And Rosemary and Taya win. Commentary did point out that Taya did retain her Reina de Reinas title at Triple Mania last night, and challenged Thunder Rosa to see who the greatest women's wrestler is on the planet right now. So that's something. They didn't acknowledge that she also won the MLW title yesterday or the day before.
I feel like that's like too direct of a rivalry.
Yeah, I guess.
Probably.
But later in the night, we would get an MLW signed talent show up. So,
okay.
But yeah, Pat, how did you feel about this match?
I thought this was a match that existed as well. I would say
This is Wrestling Chant applies here.
Yeah.
absolutely. This was
Okay.
I would say that compared to some of the past Knockouts Tag Team Championship matches, this is probably above average.
Yeah.
When you're looking at like what we got, like the Inspiration and the Decay.
Yeah.
So I would say it was still good. This didn't take away from the show.
Yeah.
The only net positive on the or net negative on the show, I'd say, would be the Reverse Battle Royal. 100%.
And that was the pre-show match.
That's I will say, putting the titles on Rosemary and Taya does feel like, it's trying to make them a little bit bigger. Taya is probably one of your biggest names in the division, and Rosemary's a fan favorite.
She was
also
ranked number 4.
Number 6.
Number 6. You're right. Number 6.
Number 4 was Deanna.
Yeah, so number 6 was Rosemary of most impactful knockouts. So people care about her.
Yeah.
I would say, we'll see where it goes, but the influence kind of ran out of challengers.
Yeah.
So
there's already be like dissension because apparently Havoc's going to be at these tapings tomorrow.
Yeah.
At least like in some capacity. We'll see if she is on TV for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And this also maybe gives Madison Rayne an excuse to kind of not be on TV anymore, because I think she was kind of dragged into it with the lack of wrestlers in the tag division because she was retired.
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, she was retired. But I mean, it's wrestling. Retirements don't mean anything.
Retirements don't mean anything, but I'm not sure if Madison Rayne's at the point where she really is like interested in actively wrestling for Impact. I don't know.
Let me know that Rosemary was ranked higher than Madison Rayne.
Yeah.
Madison Rayne was ranked number 7,
which
the commentary pointed out when they were revealing this list during the pre-show, that Madison Rayne has had the most matches in the knockouts division.
Yeah, she's
of
the Iron
any
Woman.
wrestler.
It's crazy because she wasn't there first,
No.
but she's just been there
for that
very, very long.
So moving on.
I will still continue to question Angelo about your choices on who the best of the beautiful people was. Because didn't you say Madison Rain was the worst of them?
Yes.
I always thought, but I was, younger.
You're younger
So,
and you just
blame me, but I always thought Madison Rain was the worst of them. But she was probably just more annoying than the other two on the mic, which was that was the goal. She was a heel. Yeah. But I mean, seeing her now and then seeing that I saw one of her matches when she was in the Mae Young tournament. She actually, is a good wrestler. And even looking back now, I'm like, okay, she knew what she was doing.
Yeah. You weren't caring about 5-star matches.
No, not as much.
When you were in middle school and high school.
Yeah, and with the knockouts division at the time, it was kind of fighting for scraps for quality matches between it was ODB versus the beautiful people. So
Jenna Maraska versus Charmel.
Right. So it wasn't about banger after banger. It was no X division for sure. So yeah, Madison Rain, I wasn't a fan of her, but I respect the talent now.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Also, before we move on from this knockouts talk, Angela, do you have any complaints that you want to voice to the Impact public about their voting for the knockouts?
Well, my point was, what did I say? Rosemary shouldn't even be in the conversation because, ODB or even Tara, Victoria in WWE, they did more, I thought, for Impact at the time. My bias is because there was so much more viewership during those years that Rosemary won titles when the viewership is what it is now. It's not high at all, so I don't think that was impactful. Even that's even my argument for Deanna. She's had a great reign and she's been in won titles in a lot of different companies now, but in a very short span of time. But that's the thing too. It's in a short span of time where ODB, while not the greatest wrestler per se, she was impactful for a very long time on the product. And same thing with someone like a Tara and some other names out
Brooke
there.
Hogan.
I'm forgetting. Maybe not Brooke Hogan.
Brooke Tessmacher.
Honestly, I would probably not for Deanna, but I would put Brooke Tessmacher over Rosemary.
Yeah, I mean,
she was there longer.
Yeah, as somebody who's gone to 2 tapings of TNA or of Impact, I've never seen anybody flying a Rosemary flag.
Right.
I saw somebody waving 2 different Brooke Tessmacher
People
flags.
Were in love with Brooke Tessmacher. I mean, probably obviously for the aesthetic reasons, but
she was putting on really good matches.
Yeah, 5 stars by Dave Meltzer. So
I'm surprised nobody voted for my new favorite person in Impact history, Crystal.
Crystal Lashley, not Bobby Lashley's real life, his on-screen, his real life girlfriend, who was then put in as his on-screen wife while they were dating for a feud with Scott Steiner, and then following the feud, they were positioned as heels, and then Crystal Lashley would be written off TV. Bobby Lashley would then leave TNA, and the two would break up in real life. Yeah. So shout out to me having to write an article about forgotten TNA managers this past week for the Sportster because I just learned all about Crystal Lashley.
I was wondering why you knew so much about this feud.
Is Karen Jarrett involved in your article at all?
She's not. I feel like she's more memorable.
She's memorable. Yeah, that's why.
Isn't Karen Jarrett back in AAA? Didn't she accompany Jeff Jarrett?
She's with Jeff Jarrett in AAA.
Did Jeff appear last night?
No, I don't think so. I'm assuming it's just a dropped angle.
Oh, he got too much heat.
Way too much heat.
Yeah, what's your call? We were watching Turning Point 2009 before the show, and we were flipping through, and we saw Scott Steiner versus Bobby Lashley. And I was like, oh, man, Scott Steiner, he's cutting a promo. This could be legendary stuff. And we've got him, cornering Crystal in a hallway, locking his arms around her. Being labeled a stalker, and he claims that the reason that he's allowed to do it is because he's a genetic freak.
I'm telling you, sometime you guys really got to commit to just going back through the archives.
Dude,
I would be so down to do this.
I'd be
this
down.
Would be great stuff.
Yeah, after watching just that promo, I was like, holy why has nobody brought up that Scott Steiner did this as an angle? And Like, I need to see it.
And what's cool is now Impact is posting like most of those pay-per-views from that time.
Yeah.
They're just there for free. And honestly, that would probably be the first time for me like watching the actual matches, because my parents weren't letting me buy TNA pay-per-views. They barely wanted me to watch WWE. Forget about Impact Wrestling
Not
at the
Impact.
time. Yeah, on Spike TV, right before Mansers and 1,000 Ways to Die were on the air. Yeah, no way. They were,
Shout out 1,000 Ways to Die. That was a bop late.
That was a bop. That was a
middle school days where it's like, oh, I can't sleep. Let me turn on the TV. What the hell is Spike TV?
Yeah.
Oh, why is this guy getting buried alive?
Yeah, they had Impact Wrestling, Bush League, Ultimate Fighting, and then 1,000 Ways to Die and Mansers. And
and like old school episodes of Fear Factor.
Right. Great channel.
Yeah. Anyway, this would take us to our Monsters Ball match, correct?
Yes. We forgot to mention here, we did get some
Oh,
videos
yes.
sent in by past TNA people. First, we had Sting with a very clear AEW production behind this.
Yes.
A nice HD camera. He was just sitting in the backstage area for like an AEW promo.
Yeah.
Talked about his history in TNA. We got some highlights. You mentioned Joker Sting.
Yeah.
Joker Sting
So that was nice.
I think the best part about Sting and Sting acknowledging Impact is that both times he's acknowledged it in other companies, he always brings back Joker Sting. Like in his Hall of Fame speech in WWE, he talked about Joker Sting.
Because I think he likes doing Joker Sting.
Yeah, so
It was
like,
just a fun time.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there's a deep dive video on the history of Joker Sting that I watched on YouTube.
yeah,
It's good stuff.
like it clearly he doesn't hate it if he keeps on bringing it back up into random.
There was one point I
conversations.
remember watching one of those 6-sided ring episodes, and I think they were like Main Event Mafia was in the ring, and they're like, "What do you want, Sting?" And Sting just yells, "Frosty chocolate milkshakes for everyone." So like sometimes he was just really having a good time.
Yeah,
And that's the best thing to see when you're watching as a fan. Just if they're having fun, we're having fun.
yeah. I also thought it was interesting that like he was talking about how he was only originally brought in for one day. It was just supposed to be a one-night deal, and he enjoyed it so much he asked for another one day. And they gave it to him, and they just kept on doing that for the longest time. Because Jeff Jarrett had asked him to come in when they were
Just starting.
yeah, and he was like, I don't think so, and like he pushed it off a few times, and then they're like, one day, it's a one-day contract. You show up, do this one match. If you don't like it, you can leave. We'll never do it again. And he was like, okay, I'll try it. And they asked for more and more and more. So definitely interesting. He also said that like bringing in people that he knew helped convince him to stay as well, which,
we don't have to get too much into the history of Sting, but I know like he was never much of like an indie date darling.
No.
So like, him going to Impact after that WCW run and WCW folded, he didn't go to WWE. That was a big deal. And it brought a lot of viewership in. So, I mean, and for him to really be committed to the product for the years he was a huge deal.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not like maybe at points he wasn't in the best shape or anything like that.
Yeah,
I didn't watch.
His matches were great.
Yeah.
And he pretty much faced all like the veterans coming in too, from like Mick Foley to Christian.
Yeah.
He wrestled, and then he had matches with like the Samoa Joe, and so he was wrestling everybody, and did mostly good jobs. I think that it added really to the like you don't have the legacy of Sting without that TNA run, because he was the amazing wrestler in WCW, but if it ended there, he probably would have let it end there and not did like indie dates or anything else.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that TNA run, that's like really what made him like the, I think the Ric Flair level, like, oh, this guy is a lifetime, excellent wrestler.
Yeah.
Excellent storyteller.
Yeah. And the fact that he can still do it today, like there's not many 60-plus-year-olds that are still bringing the heat.
Agreed. I was going to say, I would be interested to see how Sting's TNA matches compared to his, just crazy deathmatch Sting in AEW, where he jumps off ladders, jumps off the balcony.
He must be training with PCO these days.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he heard
men.
that. Bret Hart. He read his Bret Hart's take on PCO about how much of a safe worker he was. He's like, well, Bret Hart, the greatest, the best there ever was, the best there ever is, the best there ever will be, is saying that this PCO guy is the safe pair of hands, going to train with him, and I'm seeing him do all these deathmatch things. I can do that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We also got an iPhone video from Kurt Angle, just shooting it in his office where he shoots cameo videos at. So
I wouldn't be surprised if
I bet Scott D'Amore just bought a cameo for $20 and didn't even tell him it was going to go on Slammiversary.
I hope so.
Yeah, like after the fact, goes, hey, we're going to use this. You know,
Kurt. I was waiting for. Once I saw that it was in his office, I looked over to Sam because Sam and Rob were in a band, and they bought a cameo from him. And I immediately looked over. I was like, "Is this bring back flashbacks?" He's like, "It's the same office, just with more posters."
Money well spent.
Yeah.
Get it. Kurt Angle, you know, he left WWE kind of on his own accord. I mean, we learned later that he's battling painkiller addiction and other things, but
we got Perk Angle.
Yeah, Perk Angle, baby. But his Impact run was, again, also, I think, very important to his legacy, too, as much as WWE likes to wash it out. But
I think there's an argument to be made that Kurt Angle's run in TNA is probably better than what he did in WWE.
I really thought so.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he was the face of that company for a while. 'Cause he was the first star, I guess, like, besides, like, a Sting. He was the first star that, like, switched over. Because, like, it was a time where it was, like, the AJ Styles, the Christopher Daniels, the Samoa Joes, like, these new guys that were doing great, but then Kurt Angle solidified it.
Yeah, absolutely.
He made it awesome.
And then after Kurt Angle, that would send us on to our next match, which was we finished
Monsters Ball.
Yeah, sorry, Monsters Ball.
So we start off with them releasing Sami and Moose from their 24.
Sami still doing the puppet hands at that time?
No, so right before this, he was pretending he was acting like he had a baseball bat and was just jabbing it in the air over and over again.
Practicing what he was going to do later.
Yeah.
That's good.
And Moose was like shaking and like holding the door and like trying to hold himself up. Like he was looking like he was not taking this well.
That's good.
They open the door and Moose is like opening his eyes, rubbing them, trying to get his eyes adjusted. He stumbles a few times. It looked like he just came out of a bender. Meanwhile, they open the door for Sami, whose hair is just whacked out, and he's like, 24 hours, that's easy. That's my new home. I'm going to live in there.
Oh, great. I hope the live stream stays when it goes there.
Yeah. So they then do their Moose's entrance, and Moose is still visibly shaken. He like comes out a little groggy. He's still like rubbing his eyes and like looking around. And then as the spotlight's about to hit on him, Sami hits him from behind, and that just starts off the match. And for people who weren't into or didn't know what a Monsters Ball match was, I thought this was a very good way to showcase this. As Pat pointed out, this is only the second time that they've brought back, or since they brought back the whole 24 hours in isolation rule, which they brought back for Jonah and PCO's Monsters Ball. Commentary pointed out this was the 54th Monsters Ball match in Impact's history, which, considering it's a 20-year history, that's more than 2 a year on average.
So there was, I can't even remember exactly what it was. I feel like Raven was involved, but like they had like Monster Ball matches on like the regular tape shows.
Yeah.
As the lead up to the pay-per-view, like, oh, like, see how bad this can be.
Yeah.
Like that. So they did that. That's probably what led up to, why it is 54.
Yeah, because I was going to say, Jonah and PCO was just on a regular show, I believe.
Right. Yeah, they weren't always exclusively pay-per-view match. It wasn't, I watched a video recently of, like, all the highlights of Vince McMahon yelling, "Hell, let us out!" Like, it wasn't always, like, had to be a pay-per-view match.
Right.
It was used on the weekly show.
Yeah. And then we also had, just in the last like 12 months, we had in October for Knockouts Knockdown, they had the women's Monsters Ball match in honor of Daphne. And that was like a 6-person. One, which, like thinking back to it, they never mentioned the 24 hours in isolation thing.
Probably
so, I mean, Impact would struggle to find 6 abandoned rooms.
I challenge the next time they do the 24 hours in isolation, keep those cameras on 24 hours.
Yeah.
You could find 2 wrestlers out there that'll do it.
PCO.
PCO and Sami
PCO
Callihan.
in a heartbeat would do a 24-hour live.
And Sami Callihan, though.
Sammy, probably.
Give me PCO
You might
and Sami.
have to dig deeper into the deathmatch wrestling community. to find someone that's-
Johnny Swinger.
Yeah, Johnny. I don't know if Johnny Swinger is willing to stay.
Actually,
24
Zicky
hours.
Dice probably would do that.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to
And
stay
he put
awake.
it on,
You
and he
just go
put
to
it on,
sleep.
and he put it on his Twitch.
Right.
He'd
Zicky
be-
Dice might actually entertain that.
Yeah, he'll be like, man,
I'll
I'm
challenge
getting
us
on
out to
TV.
Zicky Dice.
Yeah. Hey, man, Zicky Dice commented on a video of ours on YouTube.
He did like a month or two, probably 2 months after Zicky Dice's Outlandish Paradise 2. He commented saying, "Outlandish."
Yeah. Well, yeah, it'll probably take some 2 months to catch up on all the content that people are posting about him.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, I mean, hopefully in 2 months we get another outlandish comment, and
Oh,
then we
okay.
get.
I'll be like, "Thanks, guys, for mentioning me very briefly on this podcast."
Yeah.
We mentioned him twice now.
That's true.
Anyway, this was wild. This is where Angelo showed up after his going to a birthday party.
Yeah,
for
and
the
just,
boss baby.
out of curiosity, how upset are you that you missed Ultimate X because of the birthday party?
I'm pretty upset. I mean, mainly because the kid was ungrateful as all hell and played with the bubble wrap. That was the only thing he played with after he opened up like 20 presents. So, and then he just grabbed the bag of Cheetos and ate Cheetos and locked up a pig. So,
Living life.
living life.
He
Gotta
should
love
have been put in the Monsters Ball match.
Oh no.
I don't know
do
about
you think he'd do well dealing with 24 hours?
that. Probably not. There'd probably be a lot of.
We'll give him a bag of Cheetos.
There'd probably be a lot of poo-poo and pee-pee in that room. So,
Hey man, as you came in, so he comes in and Joey points out that Moose has blood on his white pants right around his crotch area. He's like, "Yo, he's bleeding out of his dick," and Angelo's just like, "Yeah, that's what it means when you shit yourself."
hey, it's possible, Moose. I mean, you can clear it up yourself, Moose, if you'd like to.
Yeah.
We're interested to learn.
Yeah, at Moose, just comment shit on our podcast.
Poopies
Poopy cum.
for the kids.
Yeah. Lots of garbage can lids being used.
Classic.
There was towards the end of this, there was a lot of thumbtacks being used. Moose threw a bunch of one of them threw thumbtacks all over the ground. Sami was then on the ground in them, and Moose just dragged his body through them numerous times, which, as we pointed out, probably wasn't the worst spot for Sami to take, considering he's wearing a bulletproof vest and at least 2 layers of clothing.
Yeah, until it wasn't a bad spot until then there was like thumbtacks like in his shoulder. And we're like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
I mean, it was better than the spot Moose would take numerous times, where
yeah.
he would get pile drove into the thumbtacks with his bald head.
Yeah, no, that's not ideal.
No.
No hair to protect him. Or really
Yeah.
anything. He was shirtless,
Yeah.
hairless.
Yeah. White pants.
White pants party.
I think the worst spot of this, or one of the weirder spots that I'm not used to seeing, that could have been bad. They had a garbage can straight up, and it looked like Moose was going to kill Sami with it, with like a pile or power bomb spot. from
Oh,
the
see,
top
I
rope.
was sitting in the room and I'm convinced this is gonna fold like a can, like a normal can, like a beer can when you crush it. Easy.
Yeah.
But
Not
Sami,
everybody.
Sami hits him with the power bomb and it doesn't fold up at all.
No.
Moose just like back onto it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that probably hurt a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know who it was. I think it was Sam, or it might have been Pat, who was like, "Oh, that like if he takes it wrong, it could like jag out in a weird way." And all I can think of is when in Always Sunny, Danny DeVito just tosses the trash can at Cricket, and he just cuts his neck with
Yeah,
it.
that wasn't nice.
That would have been Monsters Ball.
That's his ball. Danny DeVito versus Rickety Cricket.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, Moose then would take a pile driver into the thumbtacks after that and kick out at 1. Which that was enjoyable.
Again, from the PCO Training Academy.
Absolutely. But they took another one, and that was that. Sami Callihan wins. Any thoughts on what happens next?
On what happened? What do you mean? What happens next?
Either of these guys. Where do you see them
Probably
go
more
next?
wrestling.
This is wrestling.
I would assume Moose probably. If I was them, I would write Moose off for a little bit.
Yeah.
You're telling me you don't want Moose back on TV on Thursday night?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Again, I still think Moose probably should have been off TV after he lost to Josh for a bit, but they went into the
But you got to agree this makes sense.
Yes, this makes
Sami
sense. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it now, but like at the time after Moose lost, I think when we did the review for Rebellion, I think I said Moose should be off for a bit.
Yeah.
Sammy,
we also all thought he was because everybody was saying
He was
reporting that he was injured. Yeah.
So I don't know if he's working. If he's working with injury, this man gave it his all tonight.
Yeah.
For Sammy, I would assume Sammy has to start going after the world title.
Yeah. I mean, he's stated that like he's going after the people that wronged him and stuff like that.
So I would assume Eddie's going to be on the list next, right? Because didn't he get injured from Eddie?
No, that's when they were teaming together. He got injured
So
by
he could
Moose.
still be mad at Eddie for.
He got injured by Moose, and that's why.
Now Eddie's a heel, so he can be like, oh,
not
you
really by
back.
Moose, but storyline wise, it was Moose beat him up backstage, but really it was he got his like leg twisted in the ropes when he was doing a dive.
Sure. I would assume main event for Bound for Glory is probably Sammy versus Josh, or some form of that. It could be a multi-man match. It could be Sammy, Josh, Eddie.
Okay.
Because I was going to say
also around. I feel like Macklin's gonna get elevated sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You could also eventually, I was gonna say you can move Ace out of the X division, but he's gonna be the junior for Bullet Club in New Japan. So
one of.
So I don't think he's gonna leave the X division because
Yeah.
they're not gonna have.
That's true. Does that stifle him a little bit then?
I think it stifles him in Impact. I think he has a higher ceiling in New Japan now than he does because he's just going to be stuck doing the X Division stuff.
Right,
So,
right. And he just
I mean, they could always do Digital Media Championship.
Yeah,
that's true.
So,
and I was going to say it makes a little bit more sense for him to stay down for a bit to continue his feud with Speedball.
Yeah, true. That's true. That is true indeed.
And or the other thing I could say is, I mean, originally we mentioned on the podcast that if Gallows and Anderson were leaving, that the new Bullet Club team could be Chris Bay and Ace.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
at least an Impact.
Yeah, I mean,
Impact
like tag team titles aren't like weight restricted.
No.
So theoretically, you could have X Division guys going for them.
So.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I think the only time they were weight restricted was that Fish Market Street fight, where they made Team 3D go on the scales for the match
with Sharkboy and
Curry Man. Yeah.
Okay.
He's hot.
I also just wrote about this.
Good.
He's hot. He's spicy.
Konnichiwa. Konnichiwa to the two people in here. If you want to say anything in the chat, feel free to say something.
If you watch the show tonight, let us know your thoughts. Maybe your favorite match.
If you're
two of the Impact faithful are here with us.
Yeah. If you're Scott D'Amore, hi.
I will say Monsters Ball was my match of the night, personally.
Okay.
I thought this was just a really fun, fantastic match between these two. So shout out to Sami Callihan, back-to-back Slammiversaries, I think, stealing the show. Last year with Omega and this year with Moose. So
yeah, I did forget Omega. That Omega match was really good. So
sorry, you can go first.
I was saying maybe it's not too crazy to think he could be in the main event Bound for Glory.
Yeah. But just want to clarify, since I've been dubbed a Sami Callihan hater in the past, that I'm giving him props.
I feel like everybody except me have been like consistently saying like, I'm not really that big of a fan of Sami Callihan, or I don't think he can be a believable babyface. Or in the case of Rob and Sam, saying, I just don't care about him.
I still don't like his voice. I will say that. I think his voice is really grating.
Okay, but
as a wrestler, I think he's a talented guy.
Yeah. Speaking of voices, where would you rank it compared to Eric Young's voice?
Oh, I mean, Eric Young just sounds like a chain smoker. Sami Callihan just has an annoying voice.
Yeah, no, I like Eric Young a lot better on the mic.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know if I can go that far because anytime I tune into Impact, I see these violence
by design.
These promos kill me.
Hey man, I'm going to say this, and you can hate. I'm sure this is a pretty hot take, but Is this any different than a Bray Wyatt promo?
Bray Wyatt, I think, is a
Bray Wyatt might be a little more charismatic, but what the fuck did he ever say?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Same thing goes for Malachi Black, but you got to be to deliver that type of material.
You're telling me Eric Young, the same man who's Super
No,
Eric?
I don't think Eric Young's delivery works with the.
I laugh a little bit every time, so it's.
Is that what they're going for?
That's what's tough though, right? Because it's Eric Young at the end of the day. It's like you had this guy like slipping on the ring every time the pyrotechnics came out back in 2006.
Yeah, but
so,
now he leads the white supremacist group.
yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah. What came next? Was this the tag title match?
Yeah, I want to say that it was the Briscoes and Good Brothers.
Yeah, I guess
Or was it Honor No More?
No,
Yeah, Briscoe. Yeah, it was Briscoe tag match, and then the other.
Well, we
tag
also
match.
had a backstage promo at some point with the Impact Originals.
Yeah.
And they were interviewed by some bald man that we don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember if they acknowledged who he was, but they made it seem like he was somebody special.
he was very
Oh.
interesting.
He was there. We also got a nice little tribute video to Don West and Mike Tenay.
Yes.
I thought that was really well put together.
Yeah.
And they did highlight Don West.
He's battling lymphoma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the GoFundMe or
Yeah.
whatever the donation thing that they're doing is for that. So it was nice to see that they called attention to it.
Yeah,
And a nice little video for the two voices of Impact.
yeah.
They were probably like even today, like those two are my favorite, like commentary team ever. Honestly, like the Don West was just always so excited, like oh my god, and Mike Tenay kind of kept it calm and collected with some information, but it was a good duo.
I'll be curious if we do end up going back to watch old Impact. What's that?
It's the Kurt Angle video, but,
Oh,
they,
they posted it.
but they zoomed up so close to his
Oh,
face.
well, they wanted to make it look like it wasn't shot on his iPhone.
We got to figure out a way to like put that the Out of Ashes thing on Twitter so we could like retweet.
I'll find it.
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
try
this
and
is
find
it. This is the guy.
My favorite band.
Does it
I don't
say?
know who it just says. Check out what Sting had to say. Oh,
So,
just
I don't know who that guy
Sting.
is.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
recognize him.
Yeah,
But
That's all right.
I'll be curious to see where Ryan's thoughts on Don West and whatnot.
Yeah.
And where he'd compare him to his favorite commentator currently in wrestling, Chris Jericho.
no. Anybody is better than Chris Jericho. Alex Marvez is better than Chris Jericho.
Take that back.
Corey Graves is not better than Chris Jericho.
Anyway, I do have to say Don West was on the 2009 Turning Point show as a manager for
Oh,
Amazing
yeah.
Red.
Yeah, Amazing Red. He was pretty entertaining then.
Yeah. So Sam was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And I was
Amazing
like,
Red or Don West?
Amazing Red. And I point out, I was like, I've just heard his name as like an influential
X-Division
high flyer guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, he's apparently a Puerto Rican man whose cousins was Zelina Vega, and
Oh.
that's what Sam got out of Amazing Red's history was that.
Potato.
Yeah, I mean, learn something new every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, tag match: Good Brothers versus the Briscoes. I assumed, as well as everybody except for
So the news we knew before going into it was that the Good Brothers, we didn't know if they signed the contract or not. That this would have been the end because they started Slammiversary
around the
2020.
end. Yeah, because they're
expected 2 years, give or take. Right?
yeah, and the only difference is that it's in June this year compared to July from when they signed.
Okay.
So technically, they could do
They could
another
still
month.
have another month run. Yeah.
Yeah. But the Briscoes had just won the titles, and the whole storyline of this has been the Briscoes can't beat the Good Brothers. And so I think we all thought, except for Joey, that
Yeah, Joey, the non-Impact watch.
that the Briscoes were going to retain because it's their first defense. So why would they lose it?
And they just lost at Multiverses matches to
Right.
the Good Brothers,
Right.
which is basically an Impact show.
This was a fun match. I enjoyed this. This goes on this run of the Good Brothers can care when they want to care in the ring. And I thought they did a good job here. The Briscoes are really hot. The crowd really likes the Briscoes.
Yeah.
And I was really shocked at this outcome.
Yeah, me too. Like we said, we didn't think the Good Brothers really needed this win, nor were they potentially long for Impact, but maybe this changes things.
Yeah, especially with everybody reading into Carl Anderson's post-match thoughts after Dominion of him saying they're trying to get out of Impact. They don't care about Impact. They don't put their best performances on the shows that only have 200 to 500 fans in attendance. I mean, for the last year basically, since Jay let them back into Bullet Club, I think every time they've been on Impact, they've delivered.
Yeah. Like there's been less spots where we're like, oh, they're kind of dogging it than when they first joined Impact.
Yeah.
After the WWE releases in 2020.
Yeah, we also got the return of G1 finalist Carl Anderson in New Japan proper for Dominion.
Yeah.
Where he won his first singles championship in New Japan from Tama Tonga. So,
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And it was a good match.
Yeah, it was. Not according to Rob, who claims that he
to be
saw.
fair, Rob doesn't watch New Japan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Rob based it off of a reviewer that he said that he trusts, who said that the first 5 seconds of the match was really good. Everything after that was one of the most boring things that they've ever seen.
it was WWE Gareth.
Oh. I hope not. Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that the Briscoes lost this quickly. It gives the Good Brothers yet another run with the title. Considering its Impact and they do automatic rematches, I'm assuming we're going to get a rematch by their next show.
Then that's going to be weird. You're going to have them lose 3 times in a row?
I'd assume the Briscoes win.
Right.
But I don't know.
Or they just don't get a rematch. I mean.
Yeah, or it's like a multi-man match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure what's next. I mean, maybe this is a sign that maybe the Briscoes aren't signed with Impact or aren't long-term plans for Impact, and they just went for like a short-term thing.
Yeah, I mean, it is worth noting that, when the Briscoes came in to Impact, that I don't really think there was ever an official thing of the Briscoes are signed. It was that Impact wanted to use them.
Yeah.
And, you did have, I believe Tony Khan did mention when he was talking about Ring of Honor again that he would like to see the Briscoes back in some capacity.
Yeah.
So my assumption is that no, they're not signed to Impact.
Yeah.
And then they'll be back on Ring of Honor shows and the new.
Either as signed talent or, possibly just freelance.
Per appearance basis.
So, we could see them again. I think, again, you're going to have the Impact tapings tomorrow. So you might see them there. And then when's the next Impact Plus show?
July 1st. It is a Friday.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay.
It is the night before Money in the Bank. Because Money in the Bank is a Saturday.
Yeah.
And me and Angelo it's 4th of July weekend.
Oh, okay. So, all right. Well, we'll see. We could see the Briscoes there.
Yeah.
We could not. I think Death Before Dishonor is supposed to be the next ROH show sometime in July, but they still haven't announced anything. So,
okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yep. This would take us to after the match.
You know what? I will say Forbidden Door is next weekend, and we do have a big winner takes all ROH New Japan tag team title match.
Oh, yeah.
You theoretically could, if you are doing something for Death Before Dishonor and the Briscoes are coming back to Ring of Honor, you could have them show up at that. My assumption is FTR is walking out with those belts.
Yeah.
And you could set up FTR versus Briscoes too for Death Before Dishonor.
Yeah.
So, keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah. And then the Good Brothers can join.
I would put the Young Bucks in there before the Good Brothers.
But Pat, you've got Carl Anderson, one of your favorite singles wrestlers of all time in New Japan.
I do like Carl Anderson.
And one of the greatest big men of all time in Doc Gallows.
No. Moving on.
This would take at the end of this match, the Briscoes were staring down the Good Brothers, and all of a sudden Titantron changes, and we've got America's Most Wanted coming out.
I forgot about this.
Chris Harris and James Storm, to which I was like, oh man, again, these guys in a match. I don't think Chris Harris has wrestled in a while, and the last time we saw him around a ring in Impact was the James Storm Chris Sabin tag team, where Chris Harris managed them the one night.
Right.
He was not looking in the best of shape.
No.
But then he was brought back in the lead up to this show in a backstage segment with Eddie Edwards, and he was looking a little bit better. Tonight didn't look bad. but I don't believe he's wrestled in several years at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But yeah, I don't think he's making an in-ring return. And
No.
and we learned that's not what their intention was.
No.
They duped me. As I was writing my review, I wrote this out as a confrontation, and I had to fix it because it was just guys drinking beer together and water.
Yeah,
Water
and
is the
said
DD.
this. Yeah, and instead it was James Storm carrying a 6-pack of 5 beers and 1 water because Chris Harris needs DD, and the 5 of them or the 6 of them drank together, and this made it seem like the Briscoes and Good Brothers maybe are not enemies anymore.
Right, that was kind of weird.
So maybe they aren't going to challenge again for the tag titles. Who knows? Cool moment, I guess. Then we got a video package running down Honor No More and the Impact Originals stuff. Honor No More come out. Sam very confused on why there's a man with face paint and wearing all black out there.
We're going to explain about PCO.
Yeah. To which he
One.
looked it up and was like, "Wait, PCO's named after this female genital disease?"
No, wrong thing, Sam.
Like,
So,
no.
yeah, Perfect Creation 1.
Then we've got the TNA Originals coming out, or Impact Originals. Angelo, I know you're still disappointed that they aren't referring to Frankie Kazarian as just Kaz.
Yeah, just Kaz. That's
His Titantron did say Kaz.
okay. So,
so
I mean,
it's
why pay for a new Titantron when you already have one in the?
Yeah, but Pat pointed out that was his AEW Titantron and music. So I guess his Titantron in AEW says Kaz and not Frankie Kazarian.
I believe it does.
So-
I believe he also has merch that just says Kaz.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Cool. And finally, we still don't know the 5th member. Do have to point out Pat's favorite men's wrestler in the world currently.
Yeah,
It's on the scene.
Nick Aldis. I'm really surprised they didn't for this one night only just refer to him as Magnus.
That would be
Right.
cool.
Like he was here representing the Impact Originals
And he was only known as Brutus Magnus or Magnus
in Impact. Yeah, so it was kind of weird that they were like,
Oh,
Nick
remember this guy, Nick Aldis?
And it wasn't like they were advertising NWA when he was coming out here. I think they probably said something about NWA, but
Yeah.
this is supposed to be him representing Impact, so it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Frankie Kazarian should have grown his hair back out.
I don't know if he could.
He should have. Should have got the ponytail and everything. And finally, Dixie Carter comes out, to which
we
we're
expect now EC3.
Yeah, we've got people saying EC3. We're like, okay, well, it's going to be somebody from her era of it. Crowd was pretty okay with her. There weren't many boos.
Which I find fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
Dixie Carter is pretty much responsible for the decline of Impact Wrestling to some extent.
Yeah.
And there'd be no decline if there was no incline, and Dixie Carter was there for the come up.
Yeah.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
But my God, what an interesting, couple of days where you have this whole Vince McMahon scandal. He comes out, treated like a saint by that crowd. Dixie Carter comes out, everybody's like, "Oh shit, it's Dixie." Congratulations.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
And she thanks everybody. She must have said 20 years 5-6 times in this promo. And she says she hopes to here's to the next 20 years. I hope I'll be back. And it's like,
Fuck me, no.
I think she's almost 60 already. I don't know if we need 80-something-year-old Dixie Carter wheeled out there.
I'm good for it. If Johnny Swinger can get wheeled out at age 45, I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Sir, do we not remember his Swingers Palace? He's
27.
26-year-old straight white male.
Yeah.
White-blooded male. Anyway, she reveals that the 5th member, real quick before we do this, we had all predicted who this would be. We had 3 people choose James Storm. Obviously, he wasn't going to be it because he had just appeared in the previous sketch, basically. We had Sam choosing Samoa Joe. Wasn't Samoa Joe. There were people online who were thinking it was going to be AJ Styles or Abyss.
Abyss would have been reasonable.
Yeah,
This would have been reasonable.
Christopher Daniels was somebody did in our predictions, not knowing that Christopher Daniels was in a tag tournament in California for New Japan. Joey put Raven, who had just done knee replacement surgery last week.
Raven.
People were saying all sorts of stuff. I don't think I saw a single person think it was going to be Davey fucking Richards. And I don't think the crowd cared either.
No, they weren't that interested. And maybe it's because, I mean, it's pretty well obvious, like pretty well known. If you're more than just a casual wrestling fan, like the Wolves like still tag together on the indie scene. So maybe people just weren't interested in seeing Davey Richards because it's like, we see him at other events.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Last year, it was supposed to be the Switchblade Collective, Moxley and Sami versus the Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards at that Wrestling Revolver show, which Impact taped and put on their YouTube. But because of Moxley going into or because Sammy's injury last year, that match got scrapped, and it was just like some random tag team that jobbed out to the Wolves. And like that's on Impact's social medias. It's on their YouTube page that people could watch. And yeah, I also think I don't think Davey Richards, as somebody pointed out in comments on the posts for it, there's like 10 to 20 names above Davey Richards that people thought would have filled this role better.
List them. List all 20.
Yeah, list all 20.
Robbie E, Cookie, Robbie T,
Lance Archer,
Zima Ion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lance
Jesse
Archer.
Sorensen.
Austin Aries.
Honestly, I mean, I don't think he's a bigger name than Davey Richards.
No, Ryan's exposing himself as being an Austin Aries fan in 2022.
Oh,
yeah.
No. Honestly, James Storm just in a different outfit.
Hey, could have come out as Beer Money, James Storm.
Yeah. Also, got to point out that Mercy, we talked about the knockouts, best 5. Mercy Machine Guns were named the most influential tag team, and Alex Shelley named off others that he thought were more in the conversation as well, including America's Most Wanted, Generation Me, Team 3D, the Hardys. Didn't name Beer Money.
That's messed up.
I think he named Decay.
Really?
Yeah, like Crazy Steve Abyss Decay.
But you know what's interesting is like America's Most Wanted had James Storm, and so Beer Money had James Storm. So
should have named them both.
But you should still name them both because they were 2 different iterations.
Yeah.
So
I don't think he named Fortune. Or the Man
Fortune,
of Mafia.
no. You shouldn't have. Honestly, Generation Me had like zilch impact to Impact.
Yeah.
They were briefly there, and from what I remember, they really weren't taking that seriously. Like they had a couple good matches, but otherwise they were in and out.
Yeah.
Like they were indie darlings at the time, and back in like 2010, but they weren't really like for Impact purposes taken seriously.
Yeah, they were bigger outside of Impact.
Right.
Anywhere else other than Impact.
Really, and anywhere else. So like for that, like they were big for the business, but to say they were impactful,
no,
like that's not right.
Yeah.
To Impact.
Yeah. So Davey Richards, again, kind of underwhelming, especially with the people who were like, it's going to be AJ Styles.
But, like, even though we know they, like, Eddie Edwards and Davey still tag, like, it makes sense from a TNA storyline because, like, the last was, like, you know, especially they broke up. And, like, you know, it was the whole thing with Angelina Love. Yep. Like, so, and then we got to see every week on Twitch when, you know, they're still showing the streams on Twitch.
Like, the biggest breakup moments of
tag
teams.
Shout out to Melissa Santos on Twitch.
Shout out Melissa Santos.
She hasn't been on Twitch for, like...
She's still on Twitch.
She's still waiting.
Shout out Melissa Santos.
She's waiting.
Anyway, this was a clusterfuck of a match.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I thought that this was like, it was fun by the end of it, but it was a messy fun. Like
they made it seem like this was a no rules match, but they never said that.
No, but this is kind of like the same vein as like AEW's big trios matches where it kind of just everything goes. It's just, you know, you're not there for the rules. This would have been disappointing if it ended in a DQ or like if somebody.
But the
They
fact
had a
that we were
match.
just having random people.
I was fine with it. It was peak TNA. They were just having
That's fair.
fun. They had Tracy Brooks come in.
Hold on, you gotta say your best part about the Tracy Brooks.
Oh yeah. So before the match, they showed Tracy Brooks at ringside with I'm assuming
Earl
her child as well.
Yeah, and
Earl Hebner. The graphic said Tracy Brooks and Rebel from AEW.
Let it be known that Rebel was posting on social media that she was there. So I feel like she just went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So she missed her spot on the pay-per-view.
Because she posted a picture
That's
of
hilarious.
her and Dixie backstage.
But Tracy Brooks got involved. She jumped the barricade to take care of Maria Kanellis.
Because I didn't know she's married to Frankie Kazarian.
I didn't either. We had a ref bump that took out Brian Hebner. Earl Hebner was at ringside, so he came out to check on him. Naturally, because there was I don't remember how he got taken out.
It was just a ref bump.
Yeah. And this eventually would lead to D'Lo Brown coming out in his Aces and Eights gimmick to a big reaction. The crowd loved D'Lo here.
Bro,
Yeah.
you can't hate D'Lo.
And he came in and hit a big sky high on Kenny King, who had also come out here. Was he in the? No, he wasn't
in the
match.
X Division.
Yeah, he was in the Ultimate X, so
he
he was a run in as well. So there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Kenny King ate sky high. D'Lo went for the lowdown, but slipped going up top. And he
Went
did,
up again.
He did hit it.
Yeah.
It was good.
And then Earl Hebner slowly but surely made his way into the ring, took off his glasses, then took off his shirt.
Then asked the crowd to stand up and cheer.
And then he would come in and he would count the pin for this as we had three finishers. We had Kazarian's finisher, Shelley's finisher, and then the cradle shock from Saban on PCO.
It's the shell shock.
Shell shock.
Is what is
Kazarian hitting that top rope move on PCO.
No, he hit some like flatliner.
Right,
yeah.
On somebody
But no,
else.
he did do that. So in the middle of the match.
What's that, the burning?
Oh, that looked fucking brutal. That was
The burning Phoenix, right?
I don't know what it was.
It looked like it was some sort of like Death Valley driver off the top rope, but I don't know if he slipped or just couldn't hold PCO's weight.
He's a heavy guy.
And he just looked like he dropped PCO square on his head while he was like trying to hold him.
Yeah. So,
but PCO just was like, I'm not going to sell anything.
But regardless, the Impact Originals would win this, and Nick Aldis would do fuck all in the match.
Yeah.
So I could not name you a single spot he was a part of.
He was getting beat up at some point, but he was just laying down.
Good. I don't want to see his offense.
Yeah, but you're honestly right.
You're telling me you don't care about the National Treasure?
No, I don't.
Speaking of, since we talked about earlier, worst voices, Nick Aldis.
Yeah.
Nick Aldis is an Englishman whose voice sounds like it's an Englishman trying to do a Southern accent.
It's probably just because he's lived in the South for a while.
Doesn't excuse it.
Yeah.
He's like the dude who plays Jax from Sons of Anarchy. I don't remember his name. He's in the Gentleman.
Oh, Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam, whose voice just changes accents every word.
Moving on again, because that was a very random change of pace. Hey.
I could have some words.
Okay.
Add them
Well,
words.
so is Davey Richards back now? No.
I don't think so.
Yeah, this is the MLW talent I was talking about.
Because he's MLW. I don't really know what Davey Richards would add to
Well, now there's potentially that issue. We had Eddie Edwards as like the shoe-in as like the next like big challenger, and that's why Josh, and that's why Eric Young was this guy for now because he didn't want to use Eddie Edwards yet. But now Eddie Edwards' team just looks like a bunch of fools out there.
Dude, 100 more always looks like a bunch of goons.
I know, yeah, I guess so. But like, does Eddie Edwards need like to beat Davey Richards to make it look legitimate again, or
I don't know how you elevate Eddie up again.
Yeah,
because
he needs a little come up.
Yeah, I feel like Honor Moore is always like losing.
Right.
Well, no, they won the feud with the Impact originally.
They did
because Eddie
lost
but
to the
that
Good
was
Brothers.
months ago.
Yeah,
like the Taven and Bennett lost to the Good Brothers.
Yeah.
When was the last time Eddie Edwards won a big singles match?
When was the last time Eddie Edwards had a big singles match?
He actually lost to Ishii. Remember that?
Yeah, he lost to Ishii in multiverse of matches.
Did he beat Jonathan Gresham, didn't he?
Gresham was hurt.
Yeah, that got pulled.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
He beat like Rhino or something. He beat Rhino once.
Yeah, again, Eddie Edwards, he's positioned shown it to be like a big guy in this company,
But he
really isn't.
hasn't had those moments yet.
No, so I feel like you need to do something with him.
Yeah, so if it's not Davey Richards, I guess we'll see. Do you feed Sami Callihan to him again?
No, I don't think so. I think Sammy's the hotter commodity.
Right. So it's interesting.
Yeah, his last. So Eddie Edwards, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett defeated.
No, singles win.
Singles win.
Yeah,
he beat Chris Bay on Countdown to
Rebellion.
Rebellion.
He did.
Oh, because okay, but Chris Bay. Let's look at Chris Bay. Chris Bay's not like a
right.
super
He's
top
been
star
taking
either.
a lot of losses.
He beat Rocky Romero.
Rocky loses to everybody.
He beat Rich Swan.
Rich Swan just started winning again.
He beat Rhino at Sacrifice.
That's Rhino.
That was that replacement. Yeah. Gresham would have been a big win for him.
Yeah.
Agreed.
He beat Big Con on Before the Impact in 8 minutes and 23 seconds.
Jesus fucking no.
I think that's where we should have realized that he wasn't going to be taken seriously.
So keep going. Where's his last big win?
Yeah. Honestly, you're gonna have to go back to that Chris Bay one and be like, it's Chris Bay.
So we're
done a lot.
Hold on, we're into 2021.
Past few months.
Okay, but that's before he joined Honor No More.
Yeah.
So it's kind of irrelevant.
I want nothing.
His last big win would be Impact World Title #1 contendership 3-way between Eddie Edwards, Matt Cardona, and W. Morrissey from the October 25th Impact show.
Yeah, so you need to do something with Eddie
which
if you're going to
he then lost to Moose.
Sure. So again, point stands. Eddie Edwards if you're going to try to rehab him, he needs to get some big wins. But I don't think it should be against Callihan.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting because at least for the last few years, it's been that MLW and Impact haven't been on good terms. But now you've had Taya win their MLW's women's title, and now you have Davey Richards showing up in Impact.
But I don't think Ty is an Impact talent.
No, but Davey is an MLW talent, and he just appeared on a pay-per-view.
But it's also like a special event.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But if you weren't on good terms with them, or at least speaking terms, you wouldn't have sent them.
We'll see. That would send us to our AJ Styles video. I think it was before Queen of the Mountain.
Yeah,
because it wasn't before the main event. So there was always speculation of if AJ would either show up or do a video, and we did end up getting the video from AJ.
Very surprised.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
He did have to do the corporate WWE shout out.
Yeah,
he did.
Thank you, WWE executives, for allowing me to do this.
It makes sense. I mean, you got to make WWE look good at this point.
Yeah,
they had a lot of bad press this past week.
Right.
So
he should have said thank you, Vince.
That would have been too much.
Yeah,
he's my favorite boss I've worked for.
But it was cool to see AJ on a TNA broadcast again. Talked about his time in the company, what it meant to him, and says that hopefully Impact will be around for another 20 years.
Yeah. So. And he said that there'd still be an AJ Styles without Impact, but there wouldn't have been a phenomenal one without him.
Yeah.
I mean, AJ's been pretty clear that I believe that the last contract he signed with WWE, he said, is his final contract in wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily believe that.
Yeah, we'll see that holds true.
But it could be his last time in WWE. He's a guy who I could see eventually, when he's actually ready to retire, that he could come back for one final match with TNA.
Or
Impact.
Like a handful of matches.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I also think that this is also where AJ announces that he was told that he had won the most influential male wrestler and most influential Impact wrestler of all time.
Better than the Slammies.
Yeah. Was it most influential X Division and then most influential?
I think it was just male.
Okay.
He said male.
Yeah.
And then most influential wrestler.
Okay.
So, yeah, Angelo is somebody who watched a lot of the AJ years.
Yeah, I mean he was extremely important.
Yeah.
I put him up there with Samoa Joe, but I mean he really was, I think, the most important TNA original.
Yeah.
That's what was so cool about AJ Styles and really that whole bunch of guys there. He wasn't that hot commodity that you brought in from WCW or ECW. He wasn't Sabu coming in and having some high flying matches. AJ Styles did everything in Impact, and he did it because of his talent alone, and that was it. He won the Legends Championship, the X Division, tag titles, world title. He did everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's definitely like he was in WCW in their very dying days, but he wasn't taken seriously there.
So that's like it's like the Britt Baker thing.
Yeah.
In WWE. Like, I wouldn't consider him a WCW veteran.
Yeah.
He was just like he was really young, just starting out. Like TNA is where he made his bread.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sure, his end of his run could have been better. He wasn't really being portrayed as the best at the end, but he really rehabbed his value and quintupled it in New Japan before going to WWE. But
absolutely,
could have been better at the end, maybe. It seems like AJ doesn't have any hard feelings based on the video, but no, he was a huge part of what I watched from Impact.
Yeah, and I mean he's one of the few people I think you'd say wherever they went did basically everything they could.
Yeah,
like he won almost every title, if not every title in Impact. He won the world title in New Japan. Did he win the IC title? No. He won the world title in WWE. I don't think he like showed up in Ring of Honor. I don't know if he ever won the world title. I know
he challenged.
Yeah.
And he's won the other WWE titles as well. He's won the US title.
I mean, he was easily the biggest star for a bit in WWE.
Yeah, look at 2016
his SmackDown, yeah. And he can do both a babyface and a heel role really well. But yeah, I mean, there's not many people who you can say any promotion they've gone to has been like the biggest deal there. Like,
it's hard to do.
Yeah,
it's hard to translate everywhere.
Yeah, like who? I mean, Hulk. Maybe.
All right. Well, now we're going too far.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the fucking 19.
Yeah, but like he was a big when Hulk Hogan went to WCW, he was a huge deal.
Yeah, they went to TNA, he was even bigger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But like current modern day wrestler, like I can't think of many people who every company they've gone to has been treated like the person.
Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah.
But Jericho in WCW wasn't treated that way.
He won titles. He's done it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Except the main big one, but he's
won
titles pretty much everywhere he's gone.
Yeah, so like the people who do it, they're considered world class, like top.
Yeah,
of the top.
It's a very small list.
Yeah. So yeah, this would take us to our Queen of the Mountain match.
Finally,
Yeah.
Queen of the Mountain match. Tasha Steelz would be defending the Knockouts Championship against Mia Yim, Jordynne Grace, Chelsea Green, and Deonna Purrazzo. First ever Queen of the Mountain match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, you can say what you want. She had Savannah Evans at ringside in a no DQ match. That commentary constantly told us it was a no DQ match.
We had a special enforcer.
Mickey James, the train conductor.
Mickey James, who caused more interference in this match than Savannah Evans ever could. Because Savannah Evans interfered like twice, and Mickey James threw her out. And then Mickey James literally cost somebody the title.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Chelsea Green did threaten to murder Mickey James.
That was after.
No.
Oh, you're right.
The first time that Chelsea got put in the penalty box, she screamed, "I will kill you." And then later on, Mickey James, she came into the ring and prevented Chelsea from winning. I think that's fair. If somebody threatens to kill you, you can prevent them from winning a wrestling match.
No,
I guess.
No.
And, at least they played up the continuity. If you had Mickey here and she didn't attack Chelsea, it would have made no sense.
Impact is very good for the continuity.
Yeah, she also attacked Tasha.
Yeah, so it made sense of, like, the people she attacked.
Yeah. But then she also threw the belt to Mia to help Mia try to win. Mia didn't win. No, that has not been established on TV.
Well, maybe she's just a fan of her.
For me, my main argument was it was just weird, like, for Mickey to be an enforcer. She's not a retired, old, washed-up veteran. Like, she was just the champion and represented Impact a few months ago.
Yeah.
Like,
again, I still think Gail Kim would have made the most sense.
Yeah.
Right. And
have somebody who's impartial, not somebody who has issues with 3 of the 5 competitors.
Yeah. Like Mike Tyson, he would have been good at the enforcer.
Let it be known that the flashback moment of the week a week or two ago that they showed for King of the Mountain, which was the only King of the Mountain thing I've ever seen. Kevin Nash was the enforcer for that match. And
I've seen that.
and he attacks Booker T because Booker T steals the belt when he wasn't legal and just starts hitting everybody with the belt.
Well, that's probably when an enforcer needs to step in.
Yeah. And then he just hands the belt over to Samoa Joe, so Samoa Joe can put the title up. If it was main event Mafia time, though, he would have been doing his commentating voice over top.
Absolutely.
What was it, Black Snow? Was that his commentating voice?
I forget.
It's like Black Snow or something. I don't know.
He was trying to do.
Yeah.
Regardless, despite the convoluted rules of this match, I thought they had a pretty fun, memorable match here.
Yes.
I thought everybody kind of came out of this looking good. For the longest time, Tasha was just getting ganged up, but eventually she would come back and get some offense in. We had one of the spots of the night here, probably the one that everybody's going to remember, is Deanna and Chelsea on the ladder getting sent down to the floor through 2 tables. This looked brutal for these two. Yeah. Especially for Chelsea, who constantly gets injured. But so very memorable spot from them. I thought Mia Yim looked great throughout this match.
Yeah, Mia had a good spot too, where she ran
off the ladder, Shelton Benjamin style.
Yeah,
down to the floor. That was pretty good. And I thought Jordynne looked good as well throughout the match.
Yeah,
I thought everybody looked good. So
yeah, I think. If you had us list, like, who do you think the most likely to win this match was?
I would say Tasha was my last place personally.
Yeah, I would say Tasha was least, and then Jordynne. So I was very shocked that Jordynne won. But I'm not against it.
Yeah, as a Jordynne Grace fan, I'm excited that they finally gave her the title again.
I just wasn't sure they were going to pull the trigger on her again.
No, I assumed it was going to be Deanna. You guys thought Chelsea.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad they didn't go with them.
I mean, it keeps Mickey out of the title picture if they're going to continue this feud.
It keeps Mickey out of the title picture.
Yeah. I don't know.
Unless she's like, I helped you win this match.
Oh, no. Please no. Regardless, I think Jordynne deserves the title. I'm excited for her as Knockouts champion. It should be good.
Yeah. I mean, she was we didn't catch most of her reign when she had it last. No. We just caught her final defense with it.
And that was also during the no crowd era.
Yeah.
So now she gets to be champ in front of a whole audience.
Yeah, and the crowd really likes her.
Yeah, so I think it should be good.
Yeah.
And she doesn't the face Cardona for the title anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He'll be back.
Yeah. And then this would take us to our main event.
Yeah, I was surprised. I said it to Angelo because we were sitting next to each other during the show. That I expected Jeff Jarrett to do a video before the main event.
I expected Jeff Jarrett to win the reverse battle royal, but didn't get that either.
There was no Jeff Jarrett on the show whatsoever.
Pat also thought that in the car, he said that he wouldn't be surprised if there was a Vince Russo thing.
Yeah, I kind of was excited. It is because we put the reverse battle royal on the show and Queen of the Mountain. So
he's salty though.
That's true.
Yeah, he's very, very salty.
Yeah. No Hulk, no Rick.
Okay, we didn't need Hulk.
No, that's that.
But we would get Eric Young versus Josh Alexander in the main event. And as somebody who was critical of Eric Young getting this title shot, I think it was warranted. I thought these two had a really good match in the main event. It was basically just a tribute match to TNA.
A really good tribute match.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It was just them, both guys worked in a lot of spots from past, figureheads of the company.
Yeah. Styles Clash.
Styles Clash. You had Jeff Jarrett's finisher, whatever it was. It was the face buster. It was the skull crushing finale.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
You had the guitar.
Exactly.
We had a guitar in the match as well. I wrote the other stuff.
There's the best moonsault ever for
BME.
Yeah, BMA.
We had, Josh does it, but ankle locks you can always attribute to Kurt.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff in here. If you're a TNA fan, I'm sure you'll see stuff that you remember.
Yeah. Apparently the boot wash was a Samoa Joe.
Yeah, that is a Samoa Joe.
Yeah, the Uranagi is a Samoa Joe.
Yeah, the Uranagi onto the wood. That was something that I think you can attribute to Joe.
Yeah. Violent by Design was all over this match.
Worst spot of the match here is when Joe Doring at some point just casually walks into frame into the camera. Josh is on the apron and Joe Doring just walks at him, doesn't attempt to move or anything, just slowly saunters into the ring, and then Josh lifts him over the
German suplex.
Yeah, but this looked like gnarly, like
Yeah.
fucking Joe Doring. I mean, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's a cancer survivor.
But he just landed like shoulder first through the table on the floor.
Yeah.
So
I think Joe, like, because remember, I think Josh Alexander like hit him when he was on the apron before.
Yeah.
So Joe Doring, I guess, like kind of came in groggy.
Yeah,
but
I
it literally
guess
just
so.
looked like he popped in screen because he wasn't in the ring, and then all of a sudden he's in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
very bizarre.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Like, that's where he decided to go.
Yeah, when Josh hit him, it reminded him of the time he spent 24 hours in the dark with no food, no drink, and he was doing his best Moose impersonation.
Or he could have just got
He was just groggy, looking around.
Was Joe Doring in Monster Ball?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. It was like what?
I mean, he might have been in one of the 54.
No, I doubt it. But yeah, and we got the exposed wood. We had yellow sand from Diener to the
was
face of Brian
strange.
Hebner.
Who they never got water to clear out,
No.
and
He just
just
had
the
to
rest
wipe
of
it.
yeah, he just kept on wiping it.
It usually doesn't just get better over time once you like do something.
But according to Brian Hebner, it does.
Yeah.
I do have to say a lot of the sand got.
Well, I really like that the sand impacted his hearing.
yeah.
Because he couldn't see, but Eric Young was literally like right next to him tapping out.
Yeah.
So apparently, there was just too much sensory issues going on.
He also couldn't hear a guitar shot.
Yeah, that's why he's retiring.
Yeah.
Your services are no longer needed, or your lack of services. are
Yeah.
no longer needed.
I gotta say, Brian Hebner, shout out to him.
So he had 2 ref bumps in one night.
Yeah.
The same ref twice.
But 2 different types. One
Yeah.
was an actual physical move, the other was
One was a bump, and one was like, oh crap, this stuff.
Yeah, I do have to say, wild that Brian Hebner retires at a younger age than good old Earl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
He
so.
probably saw the script for tonight and then retired on a podcast.
He was like, fuck.
He's like,
Two?
yeah, you're gonna throw sand in my face, and then my dad's gonna have a bigger spot than me. Like, I'm retiring. I don't need this. I can work in Checkers.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, we also, as Pat pointed out, the exposed wood was there. That was very early on by design, and just started ripping up the mats.
Well, it wasn't very early on that we got the wood. They exposed
the
the
padding.
and then towards the end, the mats would come off, and we would get the wood, and then we would get the pile drivers on the wood.
Yeah.
And then we get the Uranagi on the wood, and then eventually
C4.
we would get the C4 spike, and Josh would retain the
Yeah.
Impact World Championship. Clean finish for him. No cheating.
Yeah.
And then that was the show. They
Yeah.
didn't do an angle.
Yeah, and they ended before 11 o'clock, which, last time they were right up against that 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, whatever it was, when they had Jay White and was it David Finley running to the ring?
Yeah, they
Finley.
had Jay White come out for a confrontation with Kenny Omega, and then as David Finley was running out to confront him, the show cut off, and they said, "Fuck it, tune in on Thursday."
Yeah.
What a difference a year makes, because that was a horrible ending to a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It was just like poorly done.
Yeah.
It's like with like Jay White being such a huge name, he's like, why could you just show
His
the rest of them?
his debut in Impact.
Yeah.
Gets cut short.
But yeah, I mean, we left with no like cliffhanger really. Like
Yeah.
it's just happy ending, which is unusual a lot of the times in the wrestling world, but it's good once in a while.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing because I guess you can take this is the end of this era, like not era, but this storyline.
Yeah.
For these cycles, I can't see many stories coming out of this where they're going to continue. Like we said, Briscoes and Good Brothers, they seem to be on good enough terms where they might not go back to that. You're not going to get another EY and Josh Alexander match. I mean,
I don't think you
get
get another Moose and Sami.
No, you'll
After-
probably get Tasha challenging Jordynne
Yeah.
once for that title. She's not going to win.
Yeah.
I
Maybe-
presume the influence just dissolves.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Unless they don't have any other teams.
Honestly, you could have just Tasha and Savannah go after those and have somebody else go after
Yeah.
Jordynne.
Yeah.
So I feel and like you're gonna have Eddie probably have a new direction with Honor No More.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the bigger thing is we've talked about Honor No More in the past about where they fit and if they're sticking around because the only one who was confirmed to get signed was PCO.
And we know he's not around.
It's not
for-
a 3-year contract that we thought.
Yeah. So if they stay around, I mean, as we talked about on the podcast, we think that if PCO wants to stay on TV somewhere, he'd stick with Impact because
Yeah,
we don't see AEW or WWE getting him.
Way too much reliability.
But
He's literally falling on his face and then popping out his shoulder.
Yeah.
That's
but yeah,
That's a
like
lot.
OG Kingdom, OGK, they could. I mean, you wouldn't like Matt Taven.
I don't think they're going to AEW.
But they could go to like NWA.
Yeah, sure.
With your favorite wrestler of all time, Nick Aldis.
and Trevor Murdoch.
Yeah,
Vincent, I think, would stick around wherever PCO is because they hinted that he has magical powers that can help him revive.
I mean, I don't think that's
They never
enough
went back
for
to it.
him to like warrant a contract.
Yeah, that's
No,
fair.
I don't.
Kenny King, I hope, would stick around.
That's
He'd be a good like veteran role for the X
the-
Men.
Yeah, and he's
Absolutely.
still fantastic. He's fantastic on the mic. He's fantastic in the ring. I mean, who else is going to bump for sky highs like that?
True.
You're not going to see that from most people.
True.
So the only thing I wanted to say, there were two things two returns, I guess, what we could talk. We had Goldilocks,
Oh God.
and then we also had Scott D'Amore's Team Canada. Scott
Yeah,
D'Amore.
that was cool.
And that was the only production issue of the main show
Yeah. So shout
Where-
out to them.
where they gave him his mic and his mic just didn't work
That's true.
originally.
That's true.
There was the issue on the pre-show where you just had David Penzer talking over a video package and be like, "Next up is the Reverse Battle Royal."
Doesn't sound like David Penzer at all.
No.
Okay, so I'll pose it to you guys. So we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Angelo, what was your match of the night that you saw?
From what I saw, maybe the Monsters Ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a least favorite out of what you saw? Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but things you enjoyed the least, I guess. Least best.
Probably the Good Brothers and the Briscoes, and like it wasn't bad. It just didn't do enough compared to the rest of the
Yeah,
card.
it didn't feel as like
Yeah.
special compared to the others.
Yeah,
Okay. Right.
but granted, like I didn't watch the Reverse Battle Royal, so
That's true.
take
Also,
my opinion.
when I
with
go
a
to
grain of
you, you
salt.
can leave the reverse battle royale since we all agree that
Yeah.
that was awful.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my least favorite match that we watched was the Knockouts Tag Titles match, which I feel like is a recurring situation.
I feel like that's that way for every promotion.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's tough.
yeah, especially when you have two teams. Best match, I would go with Eric Young and Josh. I just really enjoyed that.
Okay. I would go Monsters Ball for my favorite. I already said that. Josh and Eric would be a close second. And I would also go with the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match is my least favorite from the main card. But, you know, if you're going to watch this show in its entirety, please, for the love of God, skip the Reverse Battle Royal.
Yeah.
You are losing nothing.
I mean, it's just a train wreck. Don't you want to look at the train wreck?
No.
No.
It's
It's
because
not a train
because it's a confusing train wreck.
Yeah.
Because you're sitting there saying, why don't you all just immediately rush into the ring?
Why were there
That's
two
what I
people
would
that we
think,
didn't
yeah.
that they like
I mean, like
are
Johnny Singer
apparently
did it.
returning that they never mentioned?
Why would you bring Slash back when he very clearly looked like Luther from AEW?
Yeah, Joey and Pat both said, "Oh
'Cause
my
the lights
God, it's
were- 'cause
Luther."
so when
Yeah.
Father James Mitchell came out, the lights were out, like on the stage. So you saw him in front of the Titantron, and some guy comes out posing like Luther, and he's
Yeah.
bald and short. And I was
And
like,
sticking
fuck.
his tongue out.
I was like, fuck, it's Luther.
Yeah,
And it's Slash. And then
that's
he was the only
silly.
person who got a proper entrance, and he did not make it into the actual battle royal.
What?
He just attacked some people at ringside, and that was it.
So,
Yeah.
but so he wasn't even a part of the
No.
Yeah.
meat of the match.
No,
Yeah.
it
Unbelievable.
was absolutely bizarre. It was such a weird deep cut for Impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Deep track.
That was bizarre. Nobody reacted to Slash coming out either.
No, people reacted to Father James Mitchell.
Yeah.
yeah, that
Father
makes
James
sense. He
Mitchell's
was a
great.
popular character.
So I hope Slash is on TV moving forward. I hope that's Josh's next challenger.
I hope so.
Kind of like a
You know,
replacement for Kiss Demon,
Yeah.
where it's just like, why? But all right.
Yeah.
Never forget that fucking Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. It was 35 minutes where the Kiss Demon, Dale Torborn, came in, and he just sat in the corner for the entire match and occasionally would come out and punch somebody and go back to the corner because he had no spots, because he hasn't wrestled in like over 7 years. And he was just sitting there waiting to be eliminated, but to like nobody would touch him. He very clearly didn't know what he was doing.
He was just waiting for Johnny Swinger to ask for his autograph.
This is going to be a punishment, like a future punishment, to go back and watch this match on like repeat for like I don't know,
Zoom in on just the
Dale Corporal. No, you have to watch this match on like the slowest playback setting, and you just have to sit there and talk about it without
yeah.
without hesitation. I think it's a good punishment
No,
because it's a
Good
horrible match.
it's not good. Yeah.
That was Slammiversary.
Yeah, I do. Since Pat hasn't watched, since we keep on saying there's only 2 teams left in the knockouts division, their tag division. If they move on, you might say, "What about Giselle and Alicia?"
They're not a team.
Yeah,
They're
well,
just kind of like parents.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Giselle's already got her next feud.
Yeah, Masha.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and how do you feel about that?
I think it's a shame that they're going to feed Giselle Shaw and Masha because I do think Giselle Shaw is probably one of your most promising like younger stars in the knockouts division.
I've got to
That's
say,
true.
I don't understand what the hell they're doing with her.
What I've seen, I don't either. Like,
She probably wonders that too.
Yeah,
they
I thought
gave
Giselle
they gave her
Shaw-
months of
From like
vignettes.
Yes, and they
vignettes.
have Masha, who they've just been giving all these squash matches to, and now she's going to squash Giselle probably, and it's going to be like, what the fuck did you bring Giselle Shaw in for?
Hey man,
Yeah.
I just have to say, if Masha beats Giselle, I think she's the perfect person. Masha's the perfect person to take the title off of Jordynne.
Sure, but like if she she can beat Giselle. If she squashes Giselle, that's a problem.
Yeah,
Because we need to get past the squash match.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. She needs to have like
Needs
a
to be a real
credible
match.
match.
And it's not like Masha can't wrestle.
No.
She's wrestling elsewhere. Like,
Yeah.
She's wrestling actively on the
She
indie.
wrestles
she's
the bear.
and she's getting really good. Like everybody thinks that she's very good on the indies.
So I hope Impact pulls the trigger and, if they're going to keep
Unleashes
this
it
up.
fully.
Yeah, this is also the only promotion where like they just focus on her being Russian and doing the hair and
Right, because when she came out with the
everything.
Zicky thing, her hair was
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or you
she's
just-
just like a deathmatch wrestler everywhere else. Like,
Or you do
Okay.
the smart thing, I think, and you have Giselle beat her.
Maybe.
to end the streak.
You have Giselle's still technically a heel.
Yeah,
Giselle,
Yeah.
she's like a heel aligned with a babyface. Her character is a heel.
Her
hey man,
character's
she
heel.
she cared about Alicia after she got beat.
Because they're friends. It's like Moxley and Danielson. Danielson's a heel in AEW, but like he's aligned with a babyface.
Yeah, well,
So I think Giselle
Could
beating
do something
Masha.
shady.
Yeah,
to
she
win.
can cheat to win, and that can set up an actual storyline for Masha instead of just like I'm going to beat people in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's more interesting because
It
like
is more interesting because then it's just like it's the Vladimir Kozlov syndrome where it's just like win, get the title match, lose, and then no one cares.
yeah, and if she beats Giselle Shaw, like Giselle's like cool, but like she hasn't really done anything
No.
big.
Right.
She's lost all of
Right.
her big matches.
yeah, her biggest win is Lady Frost.
But they
Exactly.
traded.
So
Yeah.
And where's she?
where is Lady Frost?
I don't know.
She's-
Hopefully working on her craft.
Hopefully she gets a new fucking gimmick.
Yeah, my goodness.
She is a good wrestler.
She's a good wrestler. It just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. She's like Lady Frost. She's the ice-like graphics.
Coolest wrestler around.
She uses no ice-based like maneuvers
No.
or anything.
I think she comes back with a new faction. Glacier's her manager.
Sub-Zero for them.
No, and her
Sub-Zero,
tag partner
yeah.
is George Iceman.
It's the Iceman Intel.
Yeah,
that's-
I would
That is
actively-
the scoop he's
I would
working on.
actively-
Is that Glacier is training Lady Frost.
I would actively start a petition to shut down Impact Wrestling.
yeah. I might have to start watching like General Hospital and stuff.
You can start doing our NXT reviews. You can watch NXT 2.0.
Oh,
you can
good.
watch my new favorite tag team, the Dyad. Have
Yeah.
you seen what? Have you seen
No.
the videos? It's just like 2 guys dressed as Undertaker druids, and they wrestle in the full like robes.
This is such good shit.
Are you pulling up a picture of the
Yes.
Dyad? Well, we want to thank you for joining us for our elongated here, almost 2-hour review of Slammiversary 2022.
Oh God. They look like they work for Yoda.
No, they work for Joe Gacy.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for listening. Patty, you can continue.
Yeah, if you watch this on YouTube, again, this was a live stream where like 2 or 3 people joined at max.
And nobody commented.
Nobody
we had fun with
commented.
it.
But you know what?
We had fun with
Yeah,
it.
we
Yeah, we
did.
had fun with it,
Yeah.
and this will be up here. You can watch this at any time, so you could be watching this days later. You could also be listening to this because I'll eventually download the audio from this and put it onto the podcast feed. So still, regardless, we appreciate it. We appreciate the Impact subreddit people who commented for the preview show for Slammiversary. We appreciate the people who've been subscribing to the podcast and to our YouTube channel. We're pushing closer and closer to 150 subscribers. Who would have thunk it after being inactive on YouTube for so long?
Yeah,
We came back and we're so close. We are 4 subscribers away at 146. So if you want to help us out, please consider subscribing. And eventually we will return with AEW coverage. Who knows when? Because I always forget to do it by myself. And Joey.
He's busy.
Joey's MIA when it comes to podcasts.
Hey, man, he's a busy boy.
He's a busy little boy. So thank you once again. Happy Slammiversary. Happy everybody that it's over. Next time Impact's on Impact Plus, we have the Friday, July 1st show. So we'll have a review out for that. And the next big show for Impact, like actual big show, is Bound for Glory in October. So, when October comes around, I'm sure we'll also do something similar. Maybe we'll do another live show. Who knows?
Yeah.
But thanks again for joining us. As Ryan's just staring at his phone.
I was trying to see if there was any comments on the Impact's Reddit about the show.
Gotcha.
And there weren't. The Squared Circle has over 2,500 comments about the Impact show.
Oh man,
so
very cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Anything you guys want to say since you guys are the Impact guys?
Well, you did say Bound for Glory is October. They did, I guess, officially announce the date.
Yeah, it's October 8th.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't see anything immediately on the Impact Twitter.
They didn't say where.
No, but Impact has been doing that. They kind of don't know the venue until really close to.
It just says October 2022.
Okay. Yeah. So really nothing more than we already knew, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's always October. I'm I was checking on.
Oh, October 8th. Yeah. October 8th. Sorry.
I thought so. Good stuff. We'll be back with.
Oh, okay. Wrestling Observer newsletter points out that there's probably a chance that this show gets moved because it's scheduled for the same day as Extreme Rules for WWE. I don't think they're going to run
unless
it's
they do that a 3 p.m. thing.
No. But they did,
it's a big show.
Yeah, they only did that for the Impact Plus shows, right?
They only did it for Hardcore Justice the day of WrestleMania.
That was fucking ridiculous.
And that was a bad show.
Yeah,
that was a bad show, and they just randomly aired an entire old match, like RVD versus Sabu.
Yes.
Yeah, in its entirety without saying anything.
And they added the greatest match of all
and they
time.
just added matches. That was
But yeah, we've got a few weeks, 2 weeks, I believe, until July 1st.
Yes, but before that, we have Forbidden Door next Sunday, AEW in New Japan from the United Center, the big crossover event of the summer for wrestling fans. We'll have a review out for that. We'll probably have predictions as well. Well, we will have predictions. And then Money in the Bank is out. I don't think we're going to do a review for it. I mean, who knows? Maybe we will. We'll do predictions.
Yeah. We'll probably watch it.
We'll probably watch it, but I don't know if we'll do a review for it. I don't know if I want to sit here and talk about Money in the Bank for a few hours.
Yeah.
Especially because no Cody. Cody. My Cody's gone. The coaster's gone.
Who's there? Yeah, I mean, he claimed he was.
He did. Before they wrote him off on TV, he said he was going to go into Money in the Bank.
Yeah. Who's going to do Cody cutters that day?
Seth.
That's
Brandy?
I think the only people we have announced for the matches are Alexa, Lacey,
Liv
for the women's, and Seth Rollins for the men. There might be more.
Okay.
But pretty standard lineup so far. Nothing too surprising.
I think the most surprising thing was that they had to lower the amount of tickets they were selling.
Yeah, but
they're
still bringing in a bigger audience than Impact, so I'm not going to dump.
Oh dear fucking lord! The poster for this year, it's just
what? That's Seth Rollins and Becky.
Yeah,
2 belts.
Becky, Big Bucks Becky or something. Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Shinsuke, and Shinsuke or Sami Zayn have been put in. Shinsuke and Sami Zayn, I guess, is coming up, and 4 more opponents.
So Seth Rollins is winning Money in the Bank.
And then women's is Lacey, Alexa, Liv, Raquel, either Asuka or Becky, and Aaliyah or Shotzi, and 2 other people.
That sounds like a bad lineup. I'm not going to lie.
And then you've got Ronda versus Natty.
All right, we don't need the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't.
So thank you for joining us once again. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you guys on the next time that we do a show.
Thanks for listening.
Good.